Welcome. My name is Caleb Baker, and this is Continued Belief, where we are talking all things investing and motivating, educating, just inspiring others to get obtain wealth in their own way. So today we're going to be recapping and game planning for the month of September. It is the end of the month, August 30th, and it was very, very eventful. The market actually ended up going a little bit higher to close out the month of August. So we have a very, very interesting upcoming month ahead of us because September is known to be the quote unquote weakest trading month of the year. History shows it's a very consistent red month, meaning that the performance of the stock market overall doesn't do too well in the market in September. So, with that being said, there's a lot of interesting things going into the month of September, like the Fed cutting the interest rates. That is probably the biggest news that most investors and most uh, people in the market are anticipating right now are the interest rates coming down. And that will be very interesting to see how the market reacts to that. Nvidia just reported earnings last week, and they had really good earnings report, but I don't think it was what investors and people investing into Nvidia wanted to see. Me personally, I'm not mad about it because I'm invested in Nvidia, so long term, we're to the moon. But I think that Nvidia has a certain standard that it needs to meet in order for investors and people who are interested in Nvidia to get a certain reaction out of it. So they didn't see that desired outcome, and due to that, the market didn't really have a big reaction. It didn't have a sell-off, nor did it have a breakout, but it closed off overall in a good spot. So September's going to be very interesting to see. So what I want to do today is obviously go over charts and just look at SPY and kind of game plan, get an idea of what my thought process is and what I think can happen if we see certain levels hit. So let's get to it. So today we're actually going to do one of two things. So one, we're going to recap our trades that we took for the week of August 25th all the way to August 29th. And then two, we're going to game plan and go into the first week of September with an idea of what we want to see happen in the market in order for us to take some day trades. So let's talk about our recaps first. So for the most part, we had a really good week in the market this week. Um, we ended up green overall this week. We took probably like one L in the market, which was okay with me, just because given the circumstances and the overall movement of the market, it didn't really move a lot, but we were able to catch a lot of scalps and a lot of just good plays throughout this week. So starting off on Monday, that's what we're going to do first. Here we have the SPY chart loaded. Most of the time, we trade SPY, and we took a few Palantir trades this week as well. So I will pull up the Palantir chart as well and go over the trades that we saw in the market for Palantir. But right now we're talking about SPY. So here we have the SPY chart loaded, and as you guys see, we have our orb set up, which is the open range breakout. Essentially, what that is whenever we have after the first 15 minutes of the market, we put a line at the top and we put a line at the bottom. Anytime I look for personally, whenever there's a breakout or a rejection within this line, so meaning if this candle were to close above, I would have took calls and used the stop loss to be right here at this level, and vice versa. If there was a close below this line, I would have took a put and used this line as a stop loss. Anytime that happens, I always take a position, or at least I always try to take a position because this is my most favorite strategy. The orb strategy is probably my favorite strategy to go to. So we set those two levels. We actually ended up just taking a trade within this range because it was such a range bound day. And we were able to catch some value off of the open right here. It had a nice rejection on the orb once the orb set up. And we kind of saw that this was previous days pivot. I believe this is like a demand level that kind of held after the Fed had a meeting and they did a breakout, as you guys see here on Friday. So we retested this level Friday a few times and we bounced off of it. But then going into closure, we bounced off one more time. And then come Monday, we actually broke back below that level. So I used that level as kind of the pivot point on Monday's session as a, If we were going to hold and go lower, that's where we would do it at. So we retested that level a few times, we rejected a few times, and then we kind of just ended up being range bound for the rest of the day. So I ended up catching a trade right here in the early open market, and we were able to catch like a quick move to the downside, nothing too crazy. It did end up reclaiming and then rejecting again later. So that was Monday. Tuesday, similar thing happened. We just broke. We moved lower in the pre-market, and once we moved lower, we kind of got that same chop come into the market the next day. Um, we set our orb up, one, two, three, orb high, orb low. Once we set up our orb low and orb high, we just waited for the market to present an opportunity. It presented a slight opportunity on Tuesday, but it then ended up reversing and reverting that whole play. I think I actually caught the puts on the orb high here because it's the same thing as Friday or as Monday's session where we had a demand level that we failed, that we were holding but then failed, and then going to pre-market, the demand turn resistance. So we retest this level here. I took a put here, caught this beautiful candle to the downside, as you guys see there. And then it fully reverted that play and literally went back up. I tried to take some more plays off of it, but it was too choppy at this point. So I just took my profits and stopped trading for the day because it's just such a crazy range bound and just crazy volume, not even volume, but crazy price action session. The price action on this session was just insane. As you guys see, it did end up breaking back out to 645. And I think a lot of this movement was due to the fact that Nvidia had earnings reports on Wednesday. So both these days were very crazy. We had a crazy downside move, then we had a crazy upside move following Tuesday. So we ended up making money off the opening bell once we got that nice movement to the downside on both days. So that was Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, we were actually heading out to fly to LA. We had to go to LA for an event. And so we tried to take a Palantir trade once we landed in LA, which I had the right idea for, but the trade just ended up taking a lot longer than I anticipated. And I just used a very, very tight stop loss on the trade. So here's the Wednesday chart for Palantir. As you guys see, my trade that I was looking to take was actually a rejection of this level here around 157. So we got this move to the downside. First, let me reset this real quick, actually. And let's go back here. So here's the Wednesday chart. As you guys see, we have some very strong weakness coming on Wednesday. We had an orb high. We set the orb candle orb level, so we had orb high, orb low. We actually ended up closing below the orb after we kind of were holding the level for a minute. Once we got the closure below it, this is when I actually saw opportunity. So I looked to get in once we filled this demand level here. And it was kind of a late entry because we missed the initial move from 163 to 157. We ended up taking puts. I want to say it was like right around here. Yeah, it was right around here. We took puts once this closure kind of came in below it because of increased volume. So I took the increasing volume move as an indicator to take it. And then we got that initial move down even further. And then I got in, I believe, here. It ended up waking me out because I just used this previous candle low or previous candle high as a stop loss. Once I got waked out, it then ended up reverting and going back down lower, but then it came back up and just kind of came back down, came back up, came back down. So we had the right idea, but we just had a tight stop loss, and not only a tight stop loss, but a late entry because it was such a late entry, in my opinion. So that was Wednesday. We only lost like no more than 10% or something like that. It wasn't a crazy, crazy loss. So I wasn't too affected by it, really. I just wanted to kind of take a jab at the market and see if we can catch a play. We ended up not catching that play, but we got back in the market on Thursday. And we actually did take Palantir again on Thursday. So let me go back here because I forgot I took Palantir twice. That Wednesday we tried to take it, we failed. I said, cool, you know what, I'll come back tomorrow, shake it off, whatever. And sure enough, that's exactly what we did. So we actually ended up opening below that demand zone that we were trying to take the failure at. So we got in it and we were able to catch this move to the downside on the rejection of that 157 level. I believe we caught it right at the open, if I'm not mistaken, but we might have not. Actually, yes, we did. We caught it right at the open, just because I was very confident that level failing, and if it didn't fail, then I was just gonna stop out above the highs. So we ended up catching this candle here. I think we took profits. We tried to. Oh no no no. So we know we did. we did let the level fail. We let the orb set up and everything like that. And then I think we took it somewhere around here at the bottom. Once the orb low set up, we took puts and then we got the failure, that initial failure back down to the downside, and we took profits here. And then it failed even lower. And then we took a SPY play that same day. So we went over to SPY. We took some plays on SPY as well on Thursday. The SPY play we took was obviously a failure candle to the downside. I'm kidding. I didn't take puts, unfortunately. I was very late to the party for puts, so we just ended up waiting out the market and letting it kind of play out a little bit. I believe I took calls actually on Thursday. Yep, I took calls right here at the 647 level because it was the reversion level. Like this is the pivot level from Friday of last week. Um, in order for the market to move higher. So we were kind of teeter-totting around this level for a minute. I got in it at 646.80 or something like that. And then I was able to ride up to 647.50 after a while. It kind of broke out. This was my entry here actually. So we had a low of 646.78. So like I said, 646.80 was my entry. So pretty much got the bottom of this candle right here. And this was actually the orb low of the day, and we were able to ride this thing back up to 647.66. We took profits right around 647.50 because then it came, and that was actually a good sale because it great sale because it came back down crashing, and then we were able to get it again on our other account, and we got in around here, I believe, once I saw some confirmation of it holding, and I just used that same ticker, same level as the take profit level for me, which was the high of the day, close to the high of the day, which was right around 648. It did end up breaking out that time, and we missed out on some tremendous gains, but we were able to make money nonetheless in this play. So I wasn't mad at that at all. We made like 20, 30% on this play both times. So that was a very good executed play. That was Thursday. And then Friday, we came into the market and we just took a very, very quick and easy put to the downside, I believe. So let me see here because we got back from LA Friday and we were coming back home. We didn't get to the market until like 8:45, 8:50. But we actually didn't take SPY. I thought we took SPY. We took Palantir. So we took a Palantir play here on Friday. And the play we took was, you guys know, a orb rejection level. That's right. So I think it retested that same 157 from the looks of it. That's Friday. Yes, I believe it took a, yep, I believe so. So yeah, we took rejections here off this orb high, close to the orb high actually. It wasn't right at orb high, but very close to it. And the reason why I took it was just because the overall markets had very, very strong, very weak um, conviction, didn't show much buying or anything. It showed multiple wicks off these demand levels turning into resistance levels. So I went ahead and took this position here, I believe. And then we caught this move down here on this candle. I just got out of it. I was like, cool, I'm happy with that. That was another 20, was it 20? 20% trade. And yeah, that was it. It ended up, being range bound the rest of the day. I tried to take another entry, but I really couldn't find nothing. So I just kind of just left it alone. And I was like, cool, I'm just gonna secure my gains for this week and close out the month strong. So that's how we did it. And that was that. So now I want to talk about SPY because that's my main focus going into September. I want to focus on SPY solely. I'll still keep an eye on Palantir because Palantir has some really good opportunity in regards to downside movement and upside movement too, but definitely downside because it's very, very, very overextended. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes stocks just need a little bit of a correction. So I'll be keeping an eye on Palantir as well. But SPY is the main name of the show. So on the monthly chart, you guys will see we had another green month. Very, very strong months since April. Has been on a tear literally ever since April has happened. I want to look at the 4-hour chart. As you guys see, we have a lot of levels here, and I'm actually going to clear out these levels. Here we have SPY, and you guys see it clear as day. I mean, the levels are very clear. 641.50 is that level that needs to be held in the market in order for us to stay strong. That is the pivot point at this point. If we lose 641.50, we are definitely going back down lower. I made a watch list last week saying that 641.50 bounce was one level, and then 647 or 648, something like that, was the second level. And if we broke 648, 647, we would go to 650. And sure enough, we did just that. What the heck? Go back, go back, go back. Oops. Technical difficulties, no worries. Yeah, as I was saying. So we broke 647. And literally, as soon as we broke 647, we went up to 649. So as you guys see here, 646, and then this one is 647. We broke 647 somewhere around Wednesday, Tuesday, something like that. And then Thursday, we reached as high as 649.50. And then we had a rejection on Friday down to 643. But then we ended up closing right around 645. So, like I said, SPYs target levels, in my opinion, if we fail 641.50, we can see back down into these lows close to 637.50. And then if we fail 637.50 to 637, we can see as low as, put that level there, 630. 630 is the next level if we fail those two levels there. But if we hold 641.50, which we look like we are doing as of right now, and we break back above 647, we then retested 649.50. And if we can break above 649.50, we can push into 655 in September. So that would be the ideal, those are ideal levels. But for this week, my specific levels that I'm watching mainly are 641.50 and 647. 647 is that resistance level. 649.50 is that major resistance level as of right now. But it's not too crazy to the point where we have like a major selloff just yet. That was just kind of like a correction thing, and then the market reacting to NVIDIA news, like I said. But this 641.50 is the major demand. We haven't really hit the top level just yet. I don't feel like just because we didn't have aggressive selling at that 649.50. So I think there is still room to go a little bit higher. Um, and then because look at this line, like this line trend as well. If we feel that trend there, that is literally the trend. Let me show you guys. So you guys can kind of see. I don't do these trend lines often, but when you see it clear as day, you literally can see it's set up there. Like that's the pivot, 649.50. So we come back down here testing, boom, we bounce. I'm not opposed to seeing a bounce here. Literally, boom, boom, and we go past 650. But like I said, we fell at 641.50. It is wraps, and we are going to have a slight correction in September. And that would be my prediction for the month of September. Um, Other names that I'm watching, that'll probably be another video like stocks to watch for September. But right now, SPY is going to be my main watch throughout the month of September in regards to day trading. And, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how we react to the Fed decisions on the federal interest rates being cut and whether or not those impact the market positively or negatively. So I'm looking forward to all these things happening. I hope you guys are as well. This is going to be the weekly recap for the month of August, the last week of August, and going into the month of September. Comment below what you guys are looking forward to in September. If there's some stocks you guys are watching, comment below. I'll make sure to take a look at them in my next video. I want to do one video a week on recapping SPY and doing informational videos throughout the month of September to kind of inform you guys on day trading and how to day trade, what day trading is, yada yada yada. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below what questions you guys may have. This is your boy CB. Continued belief, checking in. See you guys in the next one. Peace.